So it took forever to get here, but after almost a year, it wasn't just a season, it was almost a year. The 2020 NBA season is in the books. The NBA finals are over, and your Los Angeles Lakers are the 2019-2020 NBA champions. This is a long time coming for so many Lakers fans. Oh my God, all of the years of misery and struggle. It has been 10 years since we won a title. How unacceptable. Yeah, I gotta admit, as petty as ridiculous as it sounds on the other hand, it's kind of an admirable trait. Like, a lot of y'all became Laker fans because your bandwagon jumped, whether that be from the Magic Kareem days of the 80s or the Shaq and Kobe days to now the LeBron days, whatever the case might be. But you became a fan and you stayed a fan. Nice for you to have those types of standards. I guess that's actually pretty cool. Wish I had teams where I could actually have those types of standards. But now, the NBA season's in the books. The bubble ended up working. Might not have resonated or translated to television ratings, that's for sure. But the fact that the NBA was actually able to come back after several months off, do the whole bubble thing, and make it work and get all the way through the NBA Finals is an accomplishment for sure. But as we come out of this NBA season, come out of this NBA Finals, I think the big predominant talking point here is going to be about LeBron James and what this fourth ring means to his legacy. And where does that put him amongst the all-time greats in the game of basketball? Where does that put him in comparison to the true icons of the game? Where does that put him potentially in the GOAT conversation? And I gotta be honest here. The whole GOAT conversation, the greatest of all time, it's a lot of fun and also annoying at the same time. I certainly dabble in it and engage in it probably too much. The reality is, it probably doesn't matter that much in the grand scheme of things, but it's fun to talk about sometimes. Certainly. It's what we live for as sports fans. We go out there and debate, and we all have our opinions, and we all think we're right, and who knows whether we really are or not. But when you think about this, LeBron's entered some special territory. He's now a four-time NBA champion. And a lot of people can have a lot of emotions and a lot of feelings about that one way or another, about the basketball player and the man LeBron James one way or another. And I certainly do as well. But, even before we really dive into this, just think about this for a second. Of all the years of the NBA and all the players that have come and gone all the years, the good players and the great players and the scrubs and the Slava Medvedenkos and Smush Parkers. You see how I did for you Lakers fans? You think about all of these players over the years, throughout the history of the league, going back to the late 40s. So many of those players, even good players, sometimes even great players, never played in the playoffs. Or even if they did, never won a playoff series, let alone made it to a conference finals, let alone made it to an NBA finals. But you were talking about with LeBron James. Now, this is a kid. And I say kid, even though he's in his mid-30s now. He's still technically younger than me. So I get to do it! All right? But here's a kid, a young man at the time, that had the whole weight of the world on his shoulders from the time he was 16 at St. Vincent St. Mary's. He was the cover boy. He was the one that was getting his game shown on ESPN in high school. He had the weight of the world of expectations on his shoulders. And then, kind of the ho-townish guy got drafted by the Cleveland Cavaliers with that first pick of the 2003 draft. And from there, it's like the king is here. He's the chosen one and everything else. That is a lot of pressure to deal with. There's a lot of burden of expectations. And you're talking about a guy that throughout his career now, that still is going and probably is going to last several more years. I would anticipate until at least Bronny Jr. potentially makes the league. You're talking about a guy that has made it to the NBA Finals 10 times. 10 times. And become a champion 4 times. Now, before you even dive into the 4 and 6 record, just think about that for a second. He has been to a decade's worth of NBA Finals. A decade's worth. That's insane. 10 NBA Finals appearances. Good Lord Almighty Christ. That's a decade's worth of NBA Finals appearances. So think about all the additional games that he's had to play and do that largely at a high level. And he's a 4-time NBA champion. You could think about so many great players throughout the history of the league that never won 4 championships, never won 3 championships, never won 2 championships, never even won 1. Like you think about all-time great players like Charles Barkley and Karl Malone, Patrick Ewing. They didn't win a damn world championship ring amongst them. LeBron's got 4. He could give one of his titles to each of them and still keep one for himself. Larry Bird won 3 rings. LeBron's got more. Like you could go on and on through all the legendary names in NBA history. And this man has won 4 championships. And even if you want to sit there and say, well, he bounced from this team to that team, so he's been championship chasing. You know what? As much as that might personally annoy me, as much as I think it was kind of a punk-ass move to do at times, it's also the smart thing. Like, he has the leverage. Why should he not be able to exercise it? When the time came for the decision, yeah, that was annoying. But he was able to orchestrate getting him and Bosh and Wade that were all together in Miami. Why not? 4 years, you went to 4 NBA Finals, won 2 rings. Yeah, you can talk about what happened in 2011 and 2014, but damn, 2 rings out of 4 seasons. It's a 50% return rate. It's pretty damn good. Then he goes back to Cleveland. The prodigal son returns home, and by the second year, they're winning a championship. And now he goes to a 3rd place to the Lakers, orchestrates and makes all of the maneuvering happen in order to bring Anthony Davis into the fold. And in their first season together, they win a championship in Los Angeles. It's 4 championships of 3 different teams. Now, as far as the whole thing about, well, he's now won championships on 3 different teams, that makes him the greatest. Personally, I think that logic is stupid because he's orchestrated his situations. He's orchestrated his destinations. That's smart and master manipulation and master orchestration, and I applaud him for that. But I'm not going to give him GOAT status because he happened to bounce from one team to the next when he knew one situation, it was time to go, he moved on to the next one. I'm not going to begrudge him for doing it too much. You know, like I said, I have some personal feelings about it. Kind of annoys me, feels a little punky at times, but at the same time, he absolutely has the ability to do so, and he has the right to exercise that leverage, and that's a personal choice for him. And the fact is he's made it successful for himself in his last 3 stops. So who the hell are any of us to criticize that? The dude's got 4 rings, 4 NBA championships, 4 finals MVPs. Like, that should be celebrated in and of itself. And as far as the whole thing of what this means to his legacy, like, admittedly, I don't think it does anything to his legacy other than pad the legacy and the greatness that it is. LeBron is one of the true icons of the game. Now, you have role players and good players and really good players and great players and stars, superstars, legends, and then you have icons. True icons. You only have but so many of them in the course of NBA history. The Kobes, the Jordans, the Magics and Birds, you know, Wilt, Jerry West, George Mikan, Dr. J. I know I went a little out of chronological order there, and maybe you want to argue Kareem. You know, those are the icons, the true icons. Those were the standard bearers. Those were the faces of not just their franchises, respectively, but the league as a whole for the game of basketball. And there is no question that he was the player of this past decade. There is no question that he goes down in history as one of the true icons of the game. And winning a 4th ring, to me, does not change that, does not improve that status whatsoever because he already has it. Until he retires, he is the icon of the league. He is the face of the league. Period. Period. So, when I look at it, it's like, it's just more ammo in the cabinet, so to speak. It's more ammo in the magazine. Because the reality is is the LeBron stans are going to sit there and use this as a validation for what they already believe, but they still would have felt the same way about his GOAT status even if he didn't win this championship. Right? I mean, let's be real here. You know, your putz is like the Nick Wrights of the world. And look, I'm not here to debate the GOAT status of LeBron James or not here. I do not feel he is. You could probably take a guess who is, in my mind. Now, certainly some people might bring up a Kareem, and if you want to talk about body of work over the entirety of a basketball lifetime, Kareem probably is the true GOAT when you factor in arguably greatest high school player of all time, arguably greatest college player of all time, arguably greatest center of all time, 6-time league MVP, 6-time NBA champion. Like, you know, even Jordan's resume don't quite stack up to that. Just saying. So, the LeBron stands though, like my whole thing with is if you're going to make arguments, at least make good ones. Make sound ones. So it's not that they make a debate. Like Kareem folks could make arguments, like kind of the one I just laid out a little bit. And you know what? It's a great argument. I can both agree and somewhat disagree with it. But at least I get it, I understand it. And it provides proper context. But when you start hearing like the LeBron stance and they talk about, well, the league is more athletic now. Then you could say, well, nobody's playing any damn defense anymore, and you don't have big men. Like, you got Adebayo getting boxed out by Rajon Rondo. Like, give me an effing break here. But the winning of the fourth ring, to the larger point, was not going to change their view one way or another. It's just going to further cement what they already thought. And for the Jordan stans, or just other people that didn't think LeBron was the greatest of all time, they don't think that this fourth ring did anything for him. Because they're going to sit there and say, well, whoop-de-doo, he won it in a damn bubble. So he didn't have to worry about home court or anything like that, or playing road games or anything like that. And look at the path to the freaking NBA Finals. Didn't have to play the Clippers. And then once they got to the NBA Finals, they got to face a fifth-seeded Miami Heat team that was never truly at full strength. But you know what they could have done? But you're going to have those folks that are going to sit there and say, that to me feels like an asterisk championship, without understanding like how hard that might potentially be to have to spend several months isolated in a bubble and have limited family contact and not be able to go out. And let's say if your son is sitting there lighting it up on his Instagram feed, you can't just leave practice and go whoop that ass. You got to wait until you win that championship. I bet you Bronny was waiting for Game 7 to happen because he's been waiting. He running like the wind. He said, oh, no, Dad's won. Now I'm about to lose. But, like, no matter what, the LeBron stans are just going to feel like they have more evidence. And no matter what you say, it's not going to change that. And they're still largely going to make very invalid statistical arguments. Like, a lot of the analytics do not support it. And it's coming from a younger generation. Like, you're going to call somebody like me and older folks boomers, but it's these zoomers. You know what I mean? Like, come on. Like, at least you're going to make arguments, make good arguments, provide full context. But then, like I said, the Jordan folks and the other folks are going to sit there and also say LeBron's not the greatest, and they don't think this fourth ring does anything for him at all. And the bottom line is who really cares? We all do, but why should it matter? The dude won his fourth NBA championship. By hook or by crook, regardless of circumstance, reason, you know, he had the pressure on him to do it, and by God, he delivered. I mean, I could poke holes in some of the things that he does, some of the things that he says, but the reality is, who gives a crap? The dude has made himself a crap ton of money. He is one of the true icons of the game, and now he is a 4-time NBA champion and a 4-time Finals MVP. Who cares what, if anything, that did to change his legacy? Again, it just added to it. It's just unfortunate that we get into this situation that because of a variety of factors, a lot driven by media and fans, some driven by LeBron himself, I will concede, that instead of appreciating the true greatness that we get to see and just how special of a talent and special of a basketball player and individual LeBron James is and has been throughout his career, and being able to appreciate the remaining years we have left of his career, we're left to argue about what his legacy is and whether or not he's the GOAT. And it's just all foolish. It really is. So you can feel free to chime in the comments section what you think this fourth ring means to LeBron James's legacy. Let me know. You think it makes him the GOAT? You think it just further cements his GOAT status? Or you think it's an asterisk title? You think it doesn't matter? I've told you how I feel, so I want to hear from you. Let me know what you think. And smash that subscribe button. Yeah.